While chasing a lost prospect record through a maze of misaligned IDs, he uncovered a forgotten spellbook, labeled Configurable Joins. Today we name another Forge character, and peek behind the curtain. Let's see how innovation meets artistry as we forge something extraordinary together.
You are listening to the Innovation Forge, the #1 podcast on adaptive enrollment management, exploring the data, marketing, and strategy that fuels higher education. Here's your host, David Dysart.
Welcome to a Coffee and Coals episode, our time to peek behind the curtain and learn a little bit more about the Innovation Forge. So, grab a coffee, get comfortable, and don't forget to stoke those coals. Today, I announce the next name of our Enrollment Aces. But first, we'll chat about the Ember Walk. Let's see how an Enrollment Ace and our topic take shape today. So, I'm just sitting here. Well, not just sitting here. I am taking my recordings of the Ember Walk, and I'm just packaging them up into episodes through Adobe Premiere Pro. It's only the fanciest work software for me. And it's just an interesting phenomenon of the podcast. And I mean, this was the Innovation Forge was a podcast that I started. I'm like, oh, I wrote a book. I'll just podcast the audio. Like, oh, that'd be like once a month podcast, pretty low maintenance, because I was going to record it to try to have the audiobook out anyways. Still haven't actually managed to record the audiobook. But okay, yeah, just like a once a month podcast, light, wanted to record it anyways, whatever. And I thought like, oh, I've always wanted to do like interviews. Well, I've always wanted to do a Slate podcast, or higher education podcast at least, for admissions. I'm like, oh, I can do interviews then. And I can line it up so like, oh, the month that I talk about like engagement scoring, I'll just also talk about that with an interview guest who does similar work. And I have to decide, because I just finished this pilot season, putting them together. I guess I could just start exporting them. Yeah, so I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Maybe that's just twice a month, and every other week kind of podcast timeline. Again, pretty low maintenance probably. I don't know how long it takes to like book an interview guest, write interview questions, set up a time to meet with someone, actually meet with them to do the interview, edit the audio and video for the interview. I don't know how long all that takes, but I can probably bust that out, right? So then it was like a twice a month podcast, basically. A bi-weekly podcast. And I should put this in a new folder, because this is a new batch episodes. So I'm just like, oh yeah, it's okay. That's still a reasonable amount of like lift. And then I started like, oh, this is fun. I'm going to do like these weird kind of one-off, like visual forward fun episodes. And it was just a thing of like, I was just putting out an episode basically every week. I wasn't calling them episodes. I was just calling them like bonus episodes. But I was essentially producing a weekly podcast. Every like those off weeks were definitely different. They weren't an interview or me reading my audiobook. But I was doing an episode once a week. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to start calling these episodes, and I will just do a weekly podcast. And that has been just a tremendous amount of fun. And I'm so glad that I've started doing like a weekly podcast. It's allowed me to explore a lot of really fun ideas and be very mindful and purposeful and thoughtful with doing them, because I just said, like, okay, I need to create content, and this is interesting ways for me to interesting IP to create and to present in fun, interesting, different ways. I'll probably do more Coffee and Cold episodes on all the different things I've been doing lately, because that's kind of the purpose of those, and that's what this is. But still trying to find, like, what is the, like, right delivery format, what's the right IP, what's the right thoughts to kind of deliver in those weekly podcast episodes. Ton of fun creating. I mean, honestly, I think it's so much fun just creating the different types of content. Like, I watch Game Changer, which is a dropout game show, TV show, and they just change what the game is every episode. I'm like, oh, that seems so exhausting. I couldn't imagine trying to, like, come up with a new episode format every time. But I'm like, okay, that is literally just what I do every month. And then again, just kind of hopped the shark again, and now I do a daily podcast. At least every business day, Monday through Friday, because I've been doing the Ember Walk, and that is just, I don't do them on Mondays because I have, like, the main podcast episode that I kind of rotate through on topics, but Tuesday through Friday I'm releasing these, so I do a 5-week daily, basically a daily podcast, and I don't know how I managed to go from a once a month audiobook reading, I'm reading my audiobook anyways, so I'll just release it as a podcast, to doing a daily podcast. I don't know how exactly this has just wound itself into that, but it has. And it's just a very interesting evolution that the podcast and the books and all of those things has really taken shape. And just a really interesting journey that it's been so far. And I'm still I'm recording this on November 23rd. And I think I did my first episode in March. Well, I know, yeah, I did March 6th, yeah. And just so interesting that in 8 months, how much the podcast has changed, how much my work has changed through it. And that doesn't even get into, like, all the amazing conversations I've had with people, and the conversations on the podcast, off the podcast, and the growth that comes with that as well. It's just interesting on just what the podcast is journey. Okay, there we go. No, it's just so fascinating, and I just wanted to kind of get thoughts, because the Coffee and Cold episodes are just essentially just a peek behind the curtain, and it's just interesting how this has evolved from once a month to a daily podcast, and where it might go from here. I'm putting together, I've already released, I've scheduled the first 17 episodes of the Ember Walk. I don't know what episode is actually public at the moment. And this current file, I'm exporting up to episode 30, which is essentially the pilot season. That's interesting. I really hope I'm pasting these titles to the right episode. What was I saying? But yeah, so this file is up to the 30th. This is the pilot season. It's the first, 2-ish months, and it, I wonder if I'll actually edit this for these dead spaces as I try to, make my brain work on two things at the same time. And I'm also just so, as I also get pop-ups on my phone, I'm just so really excited for what is essentially like season 1. So the pilot season, just higher education and enrollment management thoughts, still branded through the Forge, that kind of metaphor, that kind of, rise of compliance culture. Okay, there we go. Yeah, just very much like early morning thoughts on these topics. But I wanted to get like a feel for it for this, because I started in November, and I kind of took November, December, and it's kind of like, okay, let's get a feel for this. What do I feel like is working? What I want this to become? And I've recorded throughout the year, like all the episodes through the year, and I did the first, I think I'm taking like a week off. I think I'm taking like New Year's week off, just as a reset, because I had a different vision on what these could be, and I very substantially changed the formatting. It's a bit longer. It is a little bit more in the world of the walk, and I think it's a much more interesting product and much more interesting entity, I guess. Don't want to productize my free to listen podcast. So I'm really excited for that like first official season of the Ember Walk. That is kind of like, I've kind of found my stride, as it were. I'm one off because that was the last title. But I have one more actual episode of audio. Okay, no, I don't. Do I not? Okay. Cool. Whew. So I'll finish this up before I go to the next file. Yeah, just really, really excited for what that first like official season will be, and everyone kind of going on that journey with me. I think it is a lot more of what I wanted it to be, what I envisioned it to be. I didn't know what I envisioned, but I think what I envisioned was something that could connect with the audience in a way that maybe the weekly episodes that were very pointed and very like, okay, we're exploring the finish line fog. We're exploring enrollment concepts through the Enrollment lens. And I think being able to just explore thoughts through these quick 5-minute episodes, and like the pilot season is shorter. They're not more than a couple minutes. The kind of official kickoff, the first official season, they're definitely going to be a bit longer. But very much just checking in with the walk, exploring the ideas, throwing out there kind of your call to action of like, what are you doing? How can you do this? Go do this thing and be mindful and pointed with what you're doing. And I think that is really kind of in the back of my head what I wanted it to be. So I'm really excited to explore that next chapter of what this project is. And chapter also, just, I plan on making a book out of that too. Got to repurpose this content. So yeah, definitely thinking that the first 2 seasons, and season 1 just being the first half of 2026, second season being second half of 2026. And kind of, I've already kind of shifted what those monthly topics are, so I need to get into more planning for that longer narrative and what exactly I'm going to end up doing. But I think maybe I just need to take the first couple of months, see where that lands at, and figure out where I want it to really go. And I can kind of reposition the narrative of the Ember Walk in a way that is able to be an interesting book as a second packaging of the Ember Walk. Just really excited for that first official season. I'm excited for what I'm doing now with the pilot season, but I think it clicked for that first season. I think what I'm doing now for that January, January 5th, kind of kickoff day for the new season. I think I unlocked what this daily podcast should be. So I'm really excited for everyone to kind of go with that journey on me. But I need to redo my templates to match my new format and do that first week of episodes. So thank you for joining me on the Coffee and Coals. I'll see you tomorrow, apparently. Today on the Coffee and Coals, we name our first enrollment ace, the Slate Wizard. But before we do that, let's learn a little bit more about where the Slate Wizard came from. Long before dashboards glowed with tidy charts, the Slate Wizard roamed a wilderness of raw CSVs and errant comma placements. He began as a humble data scribe, scratching enrollment tallies on parchment while admission storms raged around him. One late cycle evening, while chasing a lost prospect record through a maze of misaligned IDs, he uncovered a forgotten spellbook labeled Configurable Joins. The pages pulsed with queries, each glyph a conditional statement. He whispered the first formula and watched as thousands of records stitched themselves into a living tableau. With every incantation, search names formed constellations, ping events sparked like meteors, and deliver messages flew like enchanted ravens across the funnel sky. The wizard forged a staff from export columns and set a crystal of calculated fields at its crown. He now strides through the halls of higher ed like a living API, bending melt-season fog to his will and conjuring yield forecasts from a single flick of liquid markup. He's known for summoning reports that reveal hidden enrollment trends, weaving liquid markup spells to personalized communications, conjuring configurable joins so precise they tame the wildest datasets, turning melt risk into a manageable forecast with a single chart, and teaching apprentices to bend the CRM's will without breaking the schema. You'll know him by his mottos. With every join, a new constellation of insights appears. A single query can turn chaos into counsel. And from ping to portal, all signals obey the staff. I am talking, of course, about our Slate Wizard, the Archmage Querulus the Everjoined. Let's forge something extraordinary together. If you enjoyed today's episode, please grow the guild by rating and reviewing the Innovation Forge podcast, or sharing it with a colleague who needs to hear about these creative crossovers in education. The best review or comment every month will get an ebook of my book, of course. Particularly great ones will also be featured on future episodes. Thank you so much for joining me in the workshop today. Remember to strike true, and let's forge something extraordinary together. Welcome to the Innovation Forge. I wasn't invited, but the gate was open, and the practice field was empty, except for the equipment. The film reels were still spinning, the clipboard drifting in the breeze, a single jersey laid across the 50-yard line. I bent down to pick it up, but the clouds darkened. Not a storm, a shadow. I looked up, and it was there. The Harrier, wings the size of scoreboards, eyes like replay monitors. It wasn't flapping, it was just circling, without motion, held aloft by the compliance itself. It didn't speak, it shrieked its song, and I understood every note. Waivers unsigned, eligibility overlooked, practice hours exceeded, every infraction, every missignature recorded and replayed in a spiral of feathered data. He had descended, not physically, but administratively. My name appeared on a clipboard I hadn't filled out. It was in my hands. Next to my name, a check mark and a timestamp from yesterday. I wasn't here yesterday. I checked the footage feed. The Harrier was watching my future? My potential future? I don't know if it's punishing errors or predicting them. Front Rush, the compliance Harrier of Screaming Fields. It doesn't care if you meant well. It only cares if the form was filed.